Welcome, Mr. Springsteen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice to have you.
Nice to be here. I'll rehearse a lot during the sound check. Particularly, I try to do a little something different every night. So it's Father's Day, so I'll start with Adam Raised the King tonight. Sit down that day I cried. We were prisoners of love, of loving chains. He was standing in the door, I was standing in the rain. With the same hot blood burning in our veins. Adam raised the king. Hitting the keys of your Cadillac. In the darkness, hearing your mother calls out your true name. You remember the faces, the places, the names. You know it's never over, it's relentless as it rains. Adam raised the king.
Have you already decided what songs to play tonight? Because I read somewhere that you decided after the sound check you try some new songs every once in a while.
Yeah, like I'll go up and like some guy had a sign, my father's house, you know. So sometimes I'll see a sign and I go, yeah, that's a good idea. And I may play that. But it's also, oh yeah, it's something remind me it's Father's Day. So I said, well, maybe I'll start with Adam Raised the King. That'll be something different. And then it just comes from a lot of different places. People ask for things out back sometimes. And also what I haven't played lately or what I didn't play the other night, I may play tonight. So it shifts around and moves around a little bit. But I usually wait till around now to sit down and...
But you've made up your mind now, or...?
No, I don't know yet.
So there might be even more surprises.
Who knows? You know, okay. I have a sort of a set that's my basic structure, and then I pull things in and out of it. You know, I have a basic framework for the night. You know, the way the night plays out, and then I move around inside it. I got my finger on the trigger, but I don't know who to trust. When I look into your eyes, there's just devils in dust. We're a long, long way from home, Bobby. Home's a long, long way from us. I feel a dirty wind blowing. Devils in. I got God on my side, and I'm just trying to survive. What if what you do to survive kills the things you love? Fear's a powerful thing, baby. Can turn your heart black, you can trust. It'll take your God-filled soul, fill it with devils in dust.
In what role do you feel more comfortable? Being the sober storyteller like tonight, or being the sweating rock artist?
I'll probably be the sweating storyteller tonight. So, I like both. I enjoy both. You know, I like the physicality of the band, and it's fun to play with your friends, and it's a wonderful, you know,
we've been together a long time, and I try to get to the same place, but by taking a different road. I think people come to concerts to be moved emotionally, to be excited mentally and emotionally, to be transformed in some way, and so those are the same goals. I come out at night, and I have the very same goals in mind. And I simply say, tonight, instead of taking this road, we're going to take this road. But ultimately, at the end of the evening, you're reaching for a certain emotion and emotional catharsis and connection. It's always the connection between you, the audience, and the people in the songs. So you're out there. You are trying to forge those connections that may normally not get made out in the world in here. So when people leave, they take some of them with them. They take those ideas and the stories and with them. And so it's a different route we try to do a similar thing with the E Street Band. It's all based on the ideas behind the music, and it's just it's a different form, and those ideas get carried in a different fashion. But I enjoy both. I enjoy playing by myself tremendously because it's very immediate. It's just me, it's just you, and the people in the songs, and that's it.
Different atmosphere, same idea.
And also the audience has to work. They work hard. I mean, it still is tremendously emotional to me that I can come so far from home in the countries where English is not the first language and tell these long stories filled with narrative and have an audience that gets so involved in them. That's unique. That doesn't happen. It's happened so little in the States, if at all. That's unique to here. And there's an intensity with the audience that comes with it, that is very particular. It's particular to here, and it's something that I never take for granted. That I'm up there by myself. I have all these long, involved stories about a far-off place, and people come and they get so involved in them that it's quite emotional. It's quite touching,
Hoe gaat het met jullie? Ik ben blij om in Rotterdam te zijn. Okay, now the hard one. Vanavond vraag ik jullie om stil te zijn, zo dat ik het beste kon geven.
Well, I've done this for a long time. I've always played by myself, even when I was in my teens and early 20s. I had my band, and I would go to the coffee house and play some solo shows, and so I've often done it, but I've kind of created an audience for it with, I guess it goes to Tom Joad and this record, but it obviously goes back to Nebraska and the river, which really is a folk song. So much of my music is folk based. The Promised Land. It's all very roots and folk based. So the stuff moves very easily from one place to the next, and it's something I think I'll be doing this always. I enjoy it tremendously. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it, and there's just you can reach into the deepest parts of the songs, and people can hear everything so clearly that it's very it's exciting to do, but. It's just one of those things that I enjoy playing with the band, and I'll be it's nice to have a couple of different ways to come out and reach the audience.
Let's talk about the new record,
okay.
Which I love a lot, and I really do, and I don't tell it to everyone. Devils and Dust brings back the storyteller Bruce Springsteen. It's about the despair of ordinary people. Is that to compensate the big themes that you have been busy with over the last few years?
I don't know, I sort of naturally go back and forth between something like, a big show like the band does, and a record that obviously is like The Rising or full arrangements, and I suppose it is. It's kind of like a correct. Somebody called an interviewer called it a corrective, and perhaps that's what it is, because it allows me to get very, very personal, go towards the things that I'm most obsessed about in certain ways. You know, those kinds of characters, which I feel very strongly about, and you know, so it's a balance to the, you know, to sort of the big thing that happens with the band. You know, I wouldn't want to do that constantly. You know, I think partly because that type of fame does two things simultaneously. It rises you up, but it also diminishes you, because I think people can get a simplified idea of what you're about. And when I move into this kind of writing and this kind of show, I think it brings. It's a very close human experience, and so it sort of re-injects my work with its complexity and with its complexity, you know. And so it's something that it's valuable to be able to do both things. I love what happens, you know, out in front of an audience with the band, but I'd feel incomplete if I wasn't able to sort of write these kinds of songs and tell these kinds of stories. You know, I think in some ways there's some of the things that I feel closest to and most personal about, and most committed to in many ways.
Once I thought I knew everything I needed to know about you, your sweet whisper, your tender touch, but I didn't really know that much. Joke's on me, but it's gonna be okay if I can just get through this lonesome day. Hills brewing, dark sun's on the rise. Storm will blow through by and by. Houses on fire, vipers in the grass. A little revenge in this too shall pass. This too shall pass, darling. Yeah, I'm gonna pray. Right now, all I got's this lonesome day.
I don't think songwriting has to be topical, or it has to be political for it to be effective, or you know, you're always taking a risk when you move in that area, because those are hard songs to write without becoming polemic or rhetorical and ideological. You know, so it's I always search for a very human circumstance, and I try to let the music in the song have its political implications, which is what I tried to do on Devils and Dust, you know. And you know, other songs come up as they may. You know, this was just a collection of songs I had at that particular moment, and we'll see which ones pan out for the next record.
Okay. People have always tried to connect you with politics, which angered you. Now you did it yourself during the campaign.
Well, that's something that just had to be done. I mean, things were kind of taking a turn for the worse, and then the worse again, and there's been a lot of very undemocratic forces unleashed in the United States over the past 4 or 5 years, and so you reached a point where you felt like, okay, this is where the whatever credibility I've built up over the years, this is the time to expend some of it, and that's what we tried to do. You know, it was close, but it didn't happen. You know, so we'll see what happens. But there were too many things that were very angering and outrageous, and the way that we got into the war, the curtailing of the civil rights through parts of the Patriot Act. There were just a lot of things that were. I don't remember since I was a very, very young man, and certain things I've never quite experienced at all, you know. So it was it was a moment when I think me and a lot of other of my fellow musicians and artists felt it was step forward and see if we could do anything about it.
What was the point for you when you decided, okay, I'm going to stand up?
There wasn't a single moment, you know. It was just a series of things. I think that the way I believe the country was misled into Iraq and done cynically so, you know, and so that had a lot to do with it. I lived through the Vietnam War when I was a kid, and that just had a lot to do with it, I think. But there were other things also, you know, a lot of economic policies, and it's always a struggle for the people left behind in the States, and you know, the burden of it was really across the boards. It wasn't just the Iraq War. It was the general policy of the administration also. So,
are you still an angry man?
I don't know. You know, I think it's a good time to be angry. You know, it's and you should always be angry about something. Otherwise, you're not doing your job as citizen, I believe. You know, but the thing is, you know, you want to channel that conscience and, you know, into something creative, whatever it might be. It could be just raising your family, or it's not necessarily art or music or film or you know, there's a lot of places you can put that kind of energy, you know. But yeah, it's a good time to be angry about something right now, certainly in the States, you know. But
still, the Vote for Change tour, it didn't have a result. Did you fail?
People voted, but they didn't change. So that was the problem, you know.
But seriously, it like, do you see it as a personal failure?
No, it was an election, you know, and I threw my 2 cents in, and you know, I'm not going to change the course of U.S. history on my own, you know. As a songwriter, you know, I think you just try to join with your fellow citizens and take your place in you know, in that world, and do what you can, and you fight as hard as you can, and then the results are whatever they were, and then you pick yourself up again and you go back to trying to, you know, do your best to fight some other way, you know. It's the normal process, and I wish that it went the other way, but everybody was certainly depressed, and everyone was fallen, you know, after the election. But I don't know. I don't have the answers. You know, I think we have to wait and see. You know, I think there's the one thing. There was a very strong progressive base of voters who came together over the internet and over a variety of different organizations during the course of the election campaign. So I think there's more organization now. And times change, and times change everything. Right now, President Bush's rate, I believe, is the lowest he's ever had since he's been in office. I don't know what the results are going to be, you know. But, you know, that's the idea is you have to continue to ask the question, what now? And then pursue it as best as you can. So
what worries
that's
you
all
most?
You can do.
What worries you most in American politics at this moment?
I think there's been a very well done campaign of misinformation, you know, that proved to be quite effective, and also a disregard for history to a certain degree. You know, when I say things, there's undemocratic forces and there's un-American forces at play. That's what I think about. You know, it's like I don't remember a time in the States when I was alive, when you could be taken off the street and put into jail and without an attorney or your family notified and kept there for an undisclosed period of time. That's something that I've never experienced that before, you know, and so that's a very, very un-American and dangerous occurrence, you know, and plenty of people who were innocent have been swept up, you know, along the way, you know. So there's a lot of, you know, these things are just, they are loose there at the moment. And I think what a lot of the people in the progressive community are concerned about is how to stop it where it stands. And hey, everybody's trying to push back a little bit, and I think that will occur, but I don't know. You don't know until You know, I have no idea how it's going to play out. But all you can do is do what you can. You know, you write your music, you sing your songs, you take your place amongst your fellow citizens, and you do your best. You know.
Good luck, Papas. Another chance to get it right. Is that what you were saying last night, Dave? The kids give you another chance to get it right. And the moon comes skimming away the stars. When mesquite comes rushing over the hilltops, straight into my arms, straight into my arms. I'm riding hard, carrying a catch of roses and a fresh map that I made. Tonight I'm gonna get birth naked and bury my old soul and dance on its grave. I'm gonna dance on its grave. It's been a long time coming, my dear. It's been a long time coming, but now it's here. Yeah, now it's here.
I think you're always sidestepping that. It's a part of the job. If an artist has had a long life, he's always skipping from one box to the next. It's like a little mousetrap chasing him. You're trying not to get caught all the time. And the way you do it is just by constantly writing and performing new music and new arrangements. And that's the way that that I approach it. We don't come out and generally do a greatest hits tour or something, though that's fine too. If someone, Roy Orbison sang the same songs every night for 20-some years, they'd never sounded nostalgic to me. They always just sounded just pure and beautiful. A lot of it has to do with what's coming up out of here, and how committed and intense you are about the music that you're singing.
He is a weird man singing weird songs. Do you know who said that?
I can't say that I do. Me?
Your children.
They're right. Did they say that? Or did I say they said that? Is
you
that what I said?
They said
it. But well, the kids, they're your job is an amusement to them at best. Actually, it's just an intrusion. It's an intrusion on the part that you play in their lives. And they're not particularly interested in it. It's a source of amusement, and they stick pins in the balloon all the time when I'm home. Daddy is so boring. Daddy's bored. Daddy. So it's the way that they deal with it quite healthily. And
what's your answer?
Huh?
What do you tell them?
Oh gosh, I don't actually. I think the thing with the music is I play it and it's there, but the main thing is I don't need any more fans amongst my family, and they need to choose their own heroes, because they're kids, So
Britney Spears.
So I think that my take on it is they mainly they need dad, and that's the way I leave it.
And if they like Britney Spears,
well, they're gonna they like a wide variety of music, something from top 40 to heavy guitar bands and all kinds of things, So they're doing pretty good.
If you could choose, would you end up being a politician or someone who writes books?
Oh, I would never want to be a politician, and I'm very happy as a musician. I don't know I've never even attempted to sit down and write any real prose. I'm sort of very happy with the song form, and the way that I write, I can write novelistically and condense it into a very short period of time, you know. And I've learned my craft to be good at that particular thing. I don't think it necessarily makes you good at something else or not, you know. So 40 years of songwriting, I'm going to stick to it.
That's the best way to end the interview. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Can I, next time.
And best to...
You more or less announced another tour at the East Street End.
Huh?
You more or less
Yes?
announced
Oh,
a new
good
tour.
one. Well, we'll always do another one.
One more
You know,
thing.
it's enjoyable.
Thanks for all the fantastic music you made.
And
When I was a kid, he was just somebody I'd see around. Somebody I'd see around.